Hare Krishna, Kamalaki Mataji. Very nice to hear your voice. This is Devi dasi from Atlanta. Thank you for your warm welcome.
Hare Krishna, Patela Shri Mataji.
Very nice to hear your voice.
It's nice to hear your voice. And now it's very nice to hear anyone. We are not here. I am not hearing much more anyway. So thank you very much for joining and giving your very good time and association.
Hare Krishna, Komadiki Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, and all glories to you. Really nice classes you are giving. So thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving your very valuable association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, HG Chinmayi Vrajapriya. Dandavat pranam to you and all Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki Jai Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Mataji. Thank you very much for joining. Koti Dandavat pranam to you, Mataji. Very nicely chanting and also encouraging all the devotees and praising all the devotees. Very nice, good quality and very humble. I don't have any of these qualities. So, but anyway, I'm very happy that I have you as a friend. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. And every day you're joining also 2 classes, maybe 3 more. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat pranam, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Nitya Mataji. Thank you very much for joining every single day. I hear you. Very nice. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving your very time and association. Hare Krishna. Please continue to join, and if you can have time, maybe you can join in Bhagavatam. That's very wonderful also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Komadiki Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj, and Dandavat pronounced to all the devotees on the call. This is Harita from Missouri City, Texas. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, I recognize your voice. Thank you, Harita Mataji, for welcome and for joining and giving your time and association, and also we giving some nice classes. I heard you. It's very nice. You can give more classes. That would be nice. You can hear more nectar. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kaumudiki Mataji. This is, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Gurudev. This is Chinmayi Vrajapriya Devi Dasi from Charlotte. Thank you, Mataji, for blessing us.
Hare Krishna. Chinmayi Vrajapriya Mataji, welcome. Thank you for giving your time, very valuable time and association this morning. And very nice classes. I hear you. It's very nice and ecstatic, very nice. I became so happy by hearing all the devotees giving classes. Very nice. So please accept my humble obeisances. All those to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Mataji, for joining. And is there anybody else who would like to introduce? If no one, then I'd like to welcome you, Mataji. So then you can be welcome. Hare Krishna, Harita Mataji. I welcome you, and please give up this class about Bhagavad Gita Chapter 9. Very nicely you will describe it. Oh, thank you very much, Mataji. Please take over the call now. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. We have to read the quote also. Mataji, can you read the quote first? And then we will read the introduction of today's speaker. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
make the bigger writing.
Mataji, is this not enough for you? It's a bigger one.
The bigger one. Okay, let me just put
Yeah.
my glasses on because the sun is there, so that's a little difficult. It's okay. Okay, 14th December. Sir, I'm suffering from some disease. So, okay, yeah, I get. So, without going to the doctor and saving so much money, let me pay 100 rupees to the sadhu and he will give me his blessings. So, I will save thousands of rupees for curing the disease. For this purpose, they go to sadhu. What happened? I moved. And to sadhu, nobody goes to sadhu for going back to home, back to Godhead. New Delhi, December 14, 1975. 1975. Hare Krishna. Harita Mataji, may take over the program now.
Yeah, sure, Mataji. Here is a brief introduction for our Her Grace Chinmayi Vrajapriya Mataji. Her Grace Chinmayi Vrajapriya Mataji is a disciple of His Holiness Jayapatak Swami Maharaj. She came to Krishna consciousness through the association of Lalitangi Mataji and started reading Prabhupada books. Her life transformed after serious reading of Srila Prabhupada books. She started attending and hosting reading calls for adults in her neighborhood and also conducted several Bhagavad Gita classes for kids. Just through her kids program, she has distributed several sets of Bhagavatam. She continues to be she continues to be a regular attendee of reading calls and she is known for her sweet expressive narration from Srila Prabhupada books. In Bhakti Sangha, Mataji served by introducing and welcoming in the mid-morning classes and still she is serving. She is a regular speaker on the topics like Chaitanya Bhagavata, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. She listens to all Bhakti Sangha classes on call every day. Her narration of various Prabhupada books are available on YouTube as an offering to the spiritual master. Vintangandarka Mataji, thank you for uploading all those videos, Mataji, regularly. She is her Grace Vrajpriya Mataji is extremely humble, down to earth, and extremely sincere in her Krishna consciousness. The true success in any spiritual path is the transformation of one's heart. This is very evident from Mataji's life. We see that Srila Prabhupada books have transformed her consciousness so much that her heart shines like a Vaidurya jewel. She has some incredible realizations and her talks are filled with potency to make anyone take up Krishna consciousness with utmost love and devotion. Hari Bol. We are extremely fortunate to have her on the call. Hare Krishna Mataji. We are really extremely happy and fortunate to listen to you, Mataji. Please take over the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Oh, Krishna Mataji, what is this? I am nobody, Mataji. Nobody. All this must be somebody else's introduction which you read. I'm just trying my best here and not doing anything. So, thank you. First I'll start with Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you, Preeti Vilasini Mataji, for giving this opportunity. Bhagavad Gita is a very difficult topic as itself. So thank you for making me read. Thank you, Kirtida Mataji. Thank you, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, and all the Bhakti Sangha organizers for hosting this. I'm really enjoying every day's chapter summaries. They're so beautiful by each and every speaker. So please bear with me today. 9th chapter itself is very beautiful. So hopefully you can tolerate me for some time. We'll start. I'll start with prayers. ॐ अज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तु ते। तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्या देशतारिणे। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूप स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तिशक्तिकं। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंखुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दं माधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरं हरिः ओम्। Krishna. Mataji, you can all see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
Mataji, you see. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So today we'll be seeing what 9th chapter is all about. So Bhagavad Gita, it is said that it is like the most beautiful golden jewel box. The base of the Bhagavad Gita has the base of this jewel box, or the base of Bhagavad Gita, is the first 6 chapters which deal with karma yoga. And then the lid of this jewel box has the last 6 chapters, which is from 13th to 18th chapter, and that deals with Jnana Yoga. So this is the lid, which is all the golden studdings on it. So this lid, why do we need this Jnana Yoga? Because by knowing this Jnana Yoga, we're going to protect the the contents of this jewel box, which is the Bhakti Yoga. This Bhakti Yoga is revealed from chapters 7 to 12, where the Lord speaks about himself, speaks about his energies and various things, and he will teach us what Bhakti Yoga is about. So, in the first 6 chapters, they deal with various yoga. Yoga is the process by which we can link ourselves to the Supreme Lord. So the Lord talks about progressive steps by which we can reach out to him. So he talks about karma yoga, then he talks about jnana yoga, and then he talks about dhyana yoga. Then at the end of this dhyana yoga, he says, yogi namapi sarvesham madgate namantaratmanam shraddhavan yobhajate mam some yuktatamamata. So he says, those who, of all the yogis, the topmost yogi is one who worships me with faith. So now slowly he introduces Bhakti Yoga from 7th chapter. 7th chapter is a very beautiful chapter where the Lord first reveals himself. He talks about him, his energies, where are we, where do we stand, and who are the souls who surrender to him, who are the souls who don't surrender to him. And then he gives some knowledge about demigod worship and so on. And then comes the 8th chapter, where he talks about adhibhuta, adhyatmika, adhidaiva, what is karma. And this is a beautiful chapter which Mataji explained very nicely yesterday, where he tells how we can attain him, how we can remember him, when we have to remember him, and by remembering him, what happens. So these things he says. At the end of 8th chapter, he establishes the fact that of all the transcendentalists, of all the spiritual seekers, the topmost is a Bhakti Yogi. And he says, by Bhakti Yogi will not be deprived of any other Vedic process. So that is the topmost, he says. So now we go to 9th chapter. 9th chapter is called the most confidential knowledge. 9th chapter is more or less like it is similar to 7th chapter, but it is a deeper version of 7th chapter. So this is, the Lord does the same thing with 3rd and 5th chapters. He talks about Karma Yoga in 3rd chapter. Then he introduces the sandwich of Jnana Yoga in between. And then in 5th chapter, he deals with Karma Yoga in more detail, where he talks how to be in Krishna consciousness. So now this 9th chapter is similarly a deeper version of 7th chapter with the sandwich of how to attain the Supreme in between. So what is this confidentiality about? In chapters 2 to 3, the Lord speaks about the matter and spirit. We know the entire 2nd chapter, the Lord talks how we are not this body, we are the spirit. So that knowledge is confidential knowledge. It is the Guhya knowledge. Then in chapters 7 and 8, the Lord talks about Bhakti. This is more confidential, Guhya Tara. And then in chapter 9, he introduces what is Kevala Bhakti, Ananya Bhakti. And this is the most confidential knowledge. This is Guhya Tama knowledge. And the Lord talks about two things in chapter 9. He talks about Yoga Maishwaryam. What is this Yoga Maishwaryam? It is the mystic opulence of the Lord. It is something which is inconceivable. We cannot understand it at all. It has 2 main components. Of course, the Lord is going to explain all this in detail. But the 2 main components of Yoga Maishwaryam is the Lord is simultaneously present everywhere in this cosmic manifestation, yet he is personally present in Goloka Vrindavan. First point. Second point, everything in this material manifestation rests on him, but he is aloof from it. So these are the main components of Yoga Maishwaryam. And why is the Lord even talking about this? Because when we understand Yogam Aishwaryam, then we can start performing what he wants from us, that is Kevala Bhakti. That is why he is revealing this to us. So now 9th chapter can be divided into 4 parts. The first 3 verses, the Lord himself glorifies this knowledge, which he is about to reveal to us. Then the next 4 to 10 verses, he says, what is Aishwarya Jnana, Yogam Aishwaryam? What is his relationship with this world he talks about? Then 11 to 25 verses, the Lord talks about different types of worshippers of him. And then the last part, he gives the jewel. He talks about the glories of Krishna Bhakti, and each verse in this last part is so beautiful. We'll start with the first verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyami anasuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajnatva mokshase ashubhat. So the Supreme Personality is telling Arjuna, oh Arjuna, and in 9th chapter is actually one of the few chapters where the Lord starts speaking on his own without Arjuna asking him questions. So here the Lord says, oh Arjuna, you are not envious of me. You are never envious of me. Anasuyave. Because of this one quality, I am going to give you something which is most confidential. This is Jnanam and Vijnana Sahitam. Jnanam, knowledge is there, and also realization is there. Knowing these two and applying these two, what is going to happen? We will be relieved of all the Ashubha, all the miseries of material existence. So that is the potency of this knowledge. So Prabhupada emphasizes on 2 important phrases here. First one is idam jnanam, that is pure devotional service. What is this jnanam? It is pure devotional service, and it is performed through 9 limbs, which Prabhupada is teaching us how to do it every day. We are so fortunate. And Prabhupada says, simply to understand that a living entity is not material is not sufficient. One should recognize the difference between the activities of the body and the spiritual activities of one who understands he is not the body. So this difference we have to know. The activities from the external vision might seem same, but we should know what are the spiritual activities of a Krishna conscious devotee. So that is what Prabhupada says here. And then the next phrase which Prabhupada emphasizes on is anasuyave, non-enviousness. So here Prabhupada says there are so many erudite scholars who have commented on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. But those commentaries are not touching our heart. They are definitely not purifying us. Versus devotees, when they comment on Bhagavad Gita, what is happening? There is, because devotees have accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are serving him and they are without envy, their commentaries will immediately start purifying us. That is the result of hearing from a devotee. So to achieve this most confidential knowledge, what is the qualification we need? Free from envy. And what is the means? Proper hearing. From whom? From a devotee. So Krishna's messages are all very potent. But we can realize this potency only when we hear it through his devotees. And what is the benefit which comes when we hear this knowledge is, we get relief from all the material miseries. And here Prabhupada quotes, Iha yasya harer dasye karmana manasa agira nikhilasvapi avasthasu jivan muktasa uchyate. So when we become the harer dasya, dasa of Hari, how and how should we start serving the Supreme Lord? Karmana, by our body, manasa, by our activities, gira, by our words. Then what happens? Even though we are with our material designations, we become Jivan Mukta. This is the potency of the knowledge which the Lord is going to reveal in this chapter. So with these qualifications, now let's go on to the next verse. where the Lord himself is praising this verse. He says it is Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitramidam Uttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. So here 7 qualities of this verses described, of this knowledge is glorified here. It is Rajavidya. It is the king of all education. Whatever doctrines are there, whatever philosophies are there, whatever knowledge is to be attained by the study of all the Vedas, Upanishads, everything, the essence of that is this knowledge. So Prabhupada says, understanding the difference between soul and body is confidential knowledge. But the king of all this confidential knowledge will culminate in devotional service. That is what this chapter is going to teach us. And it is Rajaguhyam. It is confidential knowledge. Just knowing that soul is imperishable, it is immutable, it is everlasting. So we get that knowledge, but there is no positive information here. What are the activities of that soul? What are the eternal activities of that soul? That knowledge will be revealed here. And without this knowledge, there is just impersonalism. That is what stops at Jnana Yoga. So that's what is happening to the Jnana Yogis. They know that they are the soul, but they are not able to proceed further. And this knowledge is so potent. So the purifying potency of devotional service is very strong. We all know we have 4 stages of sinful reaction. We have Kutam, we have Bijam, we have Aprarabdha, we have Prarabdha. So Prarabdha is what we are suffering right now, in the form of diseases, in the form of financial situations, all these things which come. Aprarabdha is which is yet to come. And then there is Bijam, the seed of committing sinful activities, and the Kutam, the tendency. So this Kutam and Bijam can be addressed only by devotional service. Only devotional service can take them away. And this knowledge is Uttama. It is transcendental to all the material activities. So when I am totally contaminated by modes, but when I am practicing devotional service with full focus, with full attention, with 100% sincerity, I am not contaminated by modes. So how beautiful is this? And then this knowledge is Pratyakshaavagamam. We get a direct perception of ourselves. This happens when we practice devotional service in association with advanced devotees. And it is the highest goal of all religions is devotional service. That is dharmya. And it is this knowledge is so sukham. It is joyfully performed because we are not restraining our senses. We are not restricting our senses and saying, not this, not this. No, that is not there. We are positively engaging our senses. We are dovetailing our senses with the senses of Rishikesha. And it is simple to perform. Prabhupada says, just grow a tulsi plant and offer those tulsi leaves to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. That is enough. So, and Krishna accepts only love from us. So it's a very joyfully performed service, devotional service. And we all know the Lord just accepts, but Lord accepts anything from a devotee, patram pushpam. So that's another verse which we will deal today. And then this knowledge is avyayam, it is eternal, it is everlasting. And actual devotional service only begins after liberation. So what are we doing now, or what am I doing now? I'm practicing devotional service so that my heart will be cleansed. And by this, I will slowly start to understand Krishna based on the amount of cleansing which is happening. And then Krishna goes to say, faithless cannot attain Krishna, and thus they return to the path of birth and death. So here, Prabhupada defines faith. In 2nd chapter, he just gives a little. He says, unflinching trust in something sublime is faith. And now in the 9th chapter, Prabhupada is explaining to us what is this sublime thing. It is the faith that simply by serving Krishna, one can achieve all perfection. This faith, this trust we should have, that itself is faith. And how is this faith created? Only by association of devotees. And based on faith level, There are 3 types of devotees. We have Kanishta Adhikari, we have Madhyama Adhikari, we have Uttama Adhikari. So the summary of the first 3 verses are, this most confidential knowledge is obtained by proper hearing, and the 2 qualifications which are needed are no envy and faith. So with these 2 qualifications, let's proceed further. So now the Lord is going to reveal his Aishwarya to us. He's going to reveal his mystic opulence to us and his relationship with this world. The Lord says, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham teshva avasthitaha. So the Lord in his unmanifested form is pervading the entire universe. He says, Matsthani sarva bhutani. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Actually, the Lord is in us as Paramatma, right? But so Prabhupada is explaining this for us. Prabhupada says, Lord is all pervading in unmanifested form. So we can't see the Lord with these gross material senses. So what has to happen? Our senses has to get purified by the practice of devotional service. And then based on the amount of purity, we can start perceiving him. And the verses which Prabhupada quotes here are beautiful verses. Prabhupada says, Atah Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriyaihi sevonmukehi jihvadav swayam eva spuratyataha. So the name, form, glories, pastimes, all these of Krishna cannot be perceived by these gross senses. But we should start serving the Supreme Lord with our jihva, tongue, and other senses. And then slowly the Lord will reveal himself. And when the Lord reveals himself, what should be our position? We should have this premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. Our eyes should be anointed with the ointment of love. Then we can start seeing the Lord and his mystic opulence. So the Lord says, everything rests on me. The entire cosmic manifestation, which is a combination of superior and inferior energies, rest on him. So this Prabhupada explains it like it as sunshine is spread all over the universe, but this the Lord, the Sun Lord, Surya Narayana, he is in the sun glow. Similarly, the energy of the Lord is spread all over the creation and everything rests on him, but still the Lord doesn't lose his personal existence. And the analogy which Prabhupada gives to make us understand is, there's a king and he is the head of a government. And there are several departments in his government. All these departments will function according to the rules and regulations laid down by the king. So they all are like energies of the king. They will all be functioning according to the king's will. But when we go to a department, we will not personally find the king sitting there and working in that department. So this is what the Supreme Lord is doing. So the Lord says, I am the source of creation. I am the maintainer of all living entities. And although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. So he is not directly concerned with the creation and maintenance. We know the Lord simply glances at Pradhana and the creation starts. It just rolls off. He doesn't do anything. So that is what is happening. And although everything rests in him, he is aloof. He is aloof from everything. This is, and Prabhupada says it is not as though Atlas, he holds that entire globe on him and he is fully bent and he is showing so much of stress on his face. It is not that way. The Lord is lying on the causal ocean in his expansion form as Mahavishnu, and universes are just emanating from his skin pores. Planetary systems are floating in space, and space is the energy of the Lord. But The Lord is different from space. The Lord is not in the space. And although they are situated on my inconceivable energy as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am aloof from them. This is Yoga Maishwaryam. So the Lord says, behold, Arjuna, see my Yoga Maishwaryam. Now the Lord himself gives an analogy for Yoga Maishwaryam. He says, just like mighty wind is blowing everywhere, and this wind rests on the sky, the same way all created beings rest in me. So sky is the biggest manifestation which we can conceive. And in that, wind is the most powerful manifestation. And movement of the wind, movement of the air influences everything. In fact, for us to even live and breathe, we need air. And this wind is situated in the sky, but the sky is aloof from the activities of the wind. So this is how the energy of the Lord is working. All wonderful cosmic manifestations exist by the supreme will of the Lord. Even a blade of grass cannot move without his will. But he is aloof from all that which is happening here. And then the Lord says, at the end of millennium, end of Brahma's life, all these material manifestations, they enter into my nature. We know end of Brahma's day, there is a pralaya, and the end of Brahma's life also, there is a pralaya. So everything, all the material manifestations will enter into his nature. Again, with the beginning of another millennium, the Lord creates everything again. He transfers all the jivas. And these jivas will get the bodies of men, will get the bodies of animals, birds, aquatics, insects, whatnot, based on their past desires and past deeds. And the Lord has no connection with them. So Prabhupada says, creation takes place to accommodate the inclinations of various jivas, and the Lord is not involved with it. Then the Lord says, Nachamam tani karmani nibhadnanti dhananjaya udasina vadasinam asaktam teshu karmasu. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. So every minute detail which is happening in this material universe, in all these material creations, the Lord is controlling it, but he is neutral to it. He's transcendental to all the dualities which are happening here. And a beautiful analogy which Prabhupada gives here is a high court judge. So the judge comes every morning, sits on his chair, and he sees so many people. To some, he may award capital punishment. He will award the sentence of death. To some, he may say, you go to prison and spend some years, some months. To some, he will give some wealth to them. But at the end of the day, he will just wrap up his work and he will go to his home as though nothing has happened or nothing has affected him. So that is the example which Prabhupada gives for us to understand how the Lord's position is. The Lord says, Maya adhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetu nanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So the Supreme Lord, although he is aloof from all the material activities, he remains the Supreme Director. He is the Supreme Will. He is the sanctioner. When he sanctions the material nature, through her three modes, she will start acting and managing everything. So this example is, here what Prabhupada talks about is, there is a fragrant flower. And someone is asked to smell, like when we go to temple also, we smell the flower which is from the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So when we smell that fragrant flower, the smelling and the flower, they are detached from one another. So that way, the Lord is detached from his inferior energy. So, and the material nature, without the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she cannot do anything, and the Lord is detached from all her activities. But now let's move on to the next part of the section. Here, the Lord talks about different people who worship him and also mudhas who don't worship him. The Lord says, Avajananti mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Avajananti mudha, fools deride me. When I descend in the human form, they do not know my transcendental nature. They do not know I am Bhuta Maheshwaram. I am the Supreme Lord. Param Bhavam, they do not understand. This is a beautiful purport which Prabhupada has written. All purports of Prabhupada are beautiful. Some touch my heart with my limited brains. So here Prabhupada deals with two things. One, Prabhupada says, Krishna may appear like an ordinary man, but he is the supreme controller. And second, of course, Prabhupada deals with various controversies between Mayavads and devotees. So first, let's see the first part. So Brahma Samhita begins with Ishvara Paramah Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. So that is the stand. Krishna is Ishvaraha. He is Parama Ishvara. So there are many tiny Ishwaras in this material world. If we go to an office, we will first see an official, and then there is somebody higher than him. He is a tiny controller. Then there is a superior controller, a director. Above him, there is a secretary. Above the secretary, there's a minister. Above the minister, there's a president. These are all tiny controllers. But above them, there is a supreme controller. And this supreme controller has a Satchidananda body. His body is full of eternity. It is full of knowledge. It is full of bliss. It is not material like us. Prabhupada says, if he were to have a material body, how could he perform all those wonderful activities which were mentioned in the previous verses? Staying everywhere, being all pervading as Paramatma, but still he is staying in Goloka Vrindavan as Shyamasundara. As Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, he is letting the entire universe rest in him, but he is aloof from it. All these things cannot happen if it were a material body. And the Lord appearing in this material world is by his internal potency. The Lord himself says, Mama Maya Duratyaya. He claims this material energy is his, and he says it is difficult to overcome. And then what does he say? Mameva ye prapadyante. Those who surrender to me, Maya metam tarantite, they will get out of this material energy. So when we, with this material body, we can surrender to Krishna and get out of this material energy, then how can Supreme Lord have a material body? This is Prabhupada's argument. Then Prabhupada goes to define who are mudhas. Mudhas could be great scholars too. They could be extraordinary men. And this extraordinary position of high intelligence is due to their past good deeds. But in this, with this good deed, with this extraordinary quality, what are they doing? They are deriding the Supreme Lord. And why is that happening? Because of poor fund of knowledge. They do not understand the Lord and his energy. They do not understand that Lord is the supreme proprietor. They do not understand that he has a Satchidananda body, how he controls everything, the finite, the infinite, everything is controlled by him. This they do not understand. And that is why they are mudhas. Whereas a pure devotee can easily accept Yoga Maishwaryam of the Supreme Lord. It is nothing for him to understand these things because he has completely surrendered himself to the Supreme Lord. And now Prabhupada goes to the controversies. He says the first controversy is they say the Lord is formless and the absolute truth is formless. And when he comes to the material world, he has a human body. So Prabhupada says, Lord appearing as human is one of his the features of his transcendental body. Well, and the examples which Prabhupada quotes here is, he says, when the Lord came from Mother Devaki's womb, he appeared as four-armed Narayana. And then Mother Devaki said, no, come as a two-formed baby for me. And he did that immediately. And in front of Arjuna, he showed the ghastly universal form. And then Immediately when Arjuna said, no, this is scaring me. Can you get out of it? He came back to 4-armed form. And again, he comes to 2-armed Shyamasundara form. So all this the Lord is exhibiting. If it were a material body, how could he exhibit all those things? And then the next argument is, the Mayavads would say, Supreme Lord is in every living entity, so everyone is God. So the devotees will say, of course, Krishna is present everywhere. So in everyone. So everyone is an embodiment or temple of Krishna. So we have to respect every jiva, but that jiva is not equal to the Supreme Lord. The one more argument is, if God is everywhere, why restrict him to deity worship? So the refuting is, if God is everywhere, why can't he be in the temple? So Prabhupada says, thus bewildered by all these thus bewildered, these mudhas, they get attracted by demonic and atheistic views. They speculate mentally, come to false conclusions like ordinary jivas and Krishna are one and same. And thus they get thrown into perpetual darkness. Now, Krishna has spoken about mudhas. Immediately he goes to speak about Mahatmas, his devotees. He says, Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha bhajante ananya manaso jnatva bhutadim abhyayam. So these Mahatmas, they are under the protection of Daivi Prakriti. They are not under Maya. And they are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me, the Lord says, as Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Bhutadim, his original, his Abhyayam. He's inexhaustible. Now, Prabhupada defines Mahatma. One who is fully surrendered to Krishna is Mahatma. He is under the control of Krishna's superior energy, not material energy. He never diverts his attention to anything outside Krishna. He meditates only upon Krishna and he's always thinking how to serve Krishna better. So, and how is this Mahatma cultivated? Through association with another Mahatma. So one Mahatma, Prabhupada, came and he generated so many Mahatmas. They are all our gurus now. And what are the activities of these Mahatma? Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dhridavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. They're always chanting my glories. They're always endeavoring with great determination. They are bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So here Prabhupada says a Mahatma has no other business other than glorifying the Supreme Lord. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho is happening constantly in a Mahatma. And what is this Dhridavrataha? Prabhupada says, it is firm determination. How will we show firm determination? Prabhupada says, by fasting on Ekadashi and Janmashtami. And then Prabhupada says, anyone, a brahmacharya, a grahastha, sannyasi, a shudra, vaishya, anybody can become a Mahatma when guided by an expert spiritual master. Now, Krishna talked about mudhas, he talked about Mahatmas, now he will talk about jnanis. 3 kinds of jnanis are there who worship Krishna. Those who worship Krishna in oneness, thinking themselves to be God. Prabhupada says these are the lowest form. But he gives some concession. He says at least they think they are spirit, soul, and not the body. That's the concession Prabhupada gives them. The second group are those who worship Krishna in diversity as many demigods. And these are the group who say any form is Supreme Lord. So, and then the third form is where those who worship Krishna in the universal form. These jnanis, they are not able to get out of the material concept also. So they worship Krishna in the universal form. So this universal form, I will not deal because Mataji tomorrow will be talking about it. And let's move on to the demigod worship. Demigod worship was also explained by Prabhuji very nicely in 7th chapter. So I'll just touch a little what is in this chapter. So Krishna says these people who do demigod worship, they study Vedas. They're basically karmakandis. They drink soma juice. And by the study of Vedas and following the Vedas strictly, the karmakandic portion of the Vedas, what is happening is they are getting above the lower modes. slowly their sinful reactions are getting purified, and by this they enter heavenly planets where they enjoy godly delights. But once the pious credit is gone, they have to come back to this mortal planet. So this is like a Ferris wheel. That's what Prabhupada says. But then Krishna says this demigod worship is actually without the knowledge of Krishna's supremacy. These people are worshipping demigods because they don't know that Krishna is the supreme. And Krishna says indirectly they are worshipping me only, but it is not the right kind of worship. So it is avidhi purvakam. And we all know the examples, these most famous examples. So demigod worship is like watering the leaves and branches and not the roots. Demigod worship is like feeding different parts of the body and not the stomach. And Prabhupada says demigod worship is like offering bribe to government officers. That's what Prabhupada says. And Krishna doesn't approve the unnecessary worship of demigods. So while dealing with 7th chapter, Prabhuji explained very nicely what is this unnecessary worship. If there's a need to worship demigods, we should worship them as Vaishnavas, and we should pray for Krishna Bhakti from them. Why? Because Krishna is the only enjoyer, the master of all sacrifices. And Krishna says, those who don't recognize my true transcendental nature, they fall down. And then this verse is a little out of order because it deals with this portion. I just took it here. The Lord says, Yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pitru vrataha bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajinopi mam. Those who worship demigods will go to demigod planets. Those who worship pitrus will go to their planets. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. But those who worship me will come to me. So here, yeah, in fact, Prabhupada says this is the easiest way of space travel, the demigod worship. Worship demigods and go to their planets. That's the easiest way of space travel. And it's a very common thought that worship of any form or any path will lead to the same goal. Even I used to think that way before reading Prabhupada's books. But Prabhupada very clearly says this verse refutes all that weird philosophy which says worship any form, the goal is the same. And Prabhupada many times he said all those examples where you buy a ticket, a train ticket to Calcutta, you will go to Calcutta. You can't expect to go to Bombay and buy a train ticket to Calcutta. So yes, this verse proves that our destination will be on whom we worship. And Prabhupada says, unfortunately, many people have no knowledge of the sublime planets where Krishna and Vishnu live. And that's why they worship all these demigods, Pitrus, and all these people, and they fall down because of that Ferris wheel. When the piety goes down, they have to come down. So that's what is happening. And now this glorious verse. Lord says, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyaham. So that was about the jnanis, that was about the demigod worshippers, mudhas. The Lord has dealt with all those people. Of course, he inserted his Mahatmas in between a little. And now he's saying, but those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, Ananyas chintayanto mam, meditate on my transcendental form. To them, what does Krishna do? I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. So here, Prabhupada is explaining so nicely here. He says, when there is a desire to associate with the Supreme Personality of the Lord, so that's how we all start. There is the desire to practice Krishna consciousness. And then the Lord will create situations for us where we can start performing this Bhakti Yoga nicely. To the point where we go to Ananya Bhakti, where we are unable to live without Krishna even for a moment. Through the 9 limbs of devotional service, slowly we progress to Ananya Bhakti. And then at that point, the Lord will give his kshemam on us. That is the merciful protection of the Lord comes to us, where he will carry what we lack, and he will preserve whatever we have. So the Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. And when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, what does the Lord do? He protects them from further fall down, from falling down to this miserable conditioned life. So the previous verse here, we saw how the Lord is saying, Prabhupada is saying they all fall down. And here the Lord is saying how I will protect you from that fall down. Now we move on to the last part of this chapter, which is glories of devotional service. And here is the most glorious verse. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tad aham bhaktya upahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or even water, I will accept it. So this is a beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. Every word here is so powerful. This I'll go a little bit in detail. So when Prabhupada was talking about mudhas, Prabhupada said even scholars could be mudhas. So for someone to have some scholarship in something, he has to possess some kind of intelligence. But still he could be a mudha. So what is the sign of an intelligent person? That is how Prabhupada starts this purport. He says, sign of an intelligent person is to engage in Krishna's loving service. So that is where we become intelligent, when we start engaging in Krishna's loving service. And what is the result of this Krishna's loving service? We achieve permanent bliss in his abode. Then the next sentence Prabhupada says is, this marvelous result, right? Permanent bliss in Krishna's abode. So this is a marvelous result. To achieve this marvelous result, the process is very simple, needs no qualification. Then Prabhupada adds, other than to be a pure devotee of the Lord. So this is how beautifully Prabhupada has written this. And Prabhupada says, Krishna wants only loving service from us and nothing more. He is self-sufficient. He does not want anything from us. But when a devotee offers even one small flower, a fruit, water, leaf, whatever, what is happening here is the Lord accepts it. Why? Because there is an exchange of love and affection between the devotee and the Supreme Lord. This is so beautiful. The devotee is loving the Supreme Lord, and the Lord in turn loves the devotee. So that exchange is happening with this offering. Whereas a materialist, a non-devotee might offer a big opulent bhoga, but the Lord might not accept it because there is no exchange of love and affection. And in this verse, bhakti is mentioned twice. So it proves that bhakti is the only means to approach Krishna. Bhakti is eternal, and it is direct action in service to that absolute whole, who is the only enjoyer and the real object of all sacrifices. So this Supreme Lord, who is like, he is absolute whole, he is the ultimate goal, and to him we can serve him. How beautiful is this one concept, that a jiva, a nobody, can serve that Supreme Lord because of bhakti. And Prabhupada says further, one who loves Krishna will give him what he wants. That is how we show our love even in this mundane world. When we love someone, we do things for them the way they like it to be done. I can't do my own way and say, hey, I love you. That cannot work. So we should do what Krishna wants from us. So we should find out what he desires. Thereby, he does not like meat, fish, egg, which are from his own children, like his other jivas. So we should not offer those things. When we don't offer those things, we don't eat those things. So in turn, we offer him vegetables, fruits, grains, milk. This is what we should offer. And Prabhupada further says in 3rd chapter, the Lord says, Yajna Shishtashtina Santo Muchyante Sarva Kilbishahi. Only the remnants of sacrifice, they are purified and fit for consumption. So Prabhupada says, this is Direct instruction from Prabhupada. He says, offer simple, nice vegetable dishes. So when we offer, what should be our mood? Pray for Krishna to accept such a humble offering to enable us to advance steadily in spiritual life, purify the body, and create finer brain tissues for clear thinking. So this should be our prayer when we offer. And above all, offerings should be made with love. And of course, Prabhupada will address the impersonalist thought process. He says, to impersonalists, this verse may seem like a metaphor or more a proof to their thought that Krishna has mundane characters. Why? Because for them, absolute truth is without senses. But in actuality, Krishna has senses that are interchangeable. If that was not the case, what is the meaning of absolute? This is what Prabhupada is asking. So Krishna, when he hears a devotee's love while offering, that is wholly identical with his eating and tasting. That is the absolute position of Krishna. So this is how Prabhupada is defining the position of Krishna and the personal feature of Krishna. And Prabhupada says, only the devotee who accepts Krishna as he describes himself without interpretation can understand that the supreme absolute truth can eat food and enjoy it. And in a devotee's eyes, he is more than that. He is a butter thief. He will even go and steal that food just to have that exchange of love and affection between his devotee and himself. And for those who cannot perform Ananya Bhakti, the Lord steps down a little and gives this verse. Yad karoshi, yad ashnasi, yad juhosi, dadasi, yad tat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerities you perform, do all that as an offering to me. That is what the Lord says. But in the purport, again, Prabhupada hammers this point to us. He says, duty of everyone is to mold his life in such a way that he will never forget Krishna in any circumstance. So Prabhupada says, do all activities for him. That is Archana. And you want to give charity? Give charity to Krishna conscious activities. Why? Because that will free us from the bondage of both auspicious and inauspicious work. Both karma and vikarma, both are gone, and we will be doing a karma. And then in the next verse, Prabhupada talks about Yukta Vairagya. So this is something which Mahaprabhu introduced. He said how we can use all the material things and use it in the service of the Supreme Lord. And that is Vairagya. Not Falgu Vairagya, where we renounce those things. No, we accept those things and we use it in the service of the Supreme Lord completely. So a sannyasi is not just a person who's worn an orange robe. He's someone who has dedicated his life in Krishna's service with no personal interest. Then again, one more beautiful verse. Here the Lord, he shows how he is Bhakta Vatsala. Samoham sarva bhuteshu na me dveshyosti na priyaha. Ye bhajante tumam bhaktya mayi te teshu chapyaham. Lord first says, I envy no one. I am not partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. He is my friend and I am his friend. So Krishna is equal to everyone. Then why does he take special interest in his devotees? The analogy which Prabhupada gives is, there could be a person who could be doing lots of charities. He builds schools to all the children. He builds anath ashrams for orphans, and he builds hospitals, whatnot. But when his own children come, he reciprocates with them in a very different way. So that is what the Lord does with his devotees. So cloud will pour water everywhere equally, on rock, on land, and even the water falls on oceans. But when that water falls on fertile land, we get grains. So the Lord supplies everyone with generous supply of necessities, but he gives some specific attention to devotees. Why? Because the devotees are always thinking of the Lord. The Lord is always in them. So the Lord says, they are in me. Ye yatha mam prapadyante. So because the devotee is surrendering himself to the Lord and he is working to please the Lord also reciprocates. And Prabhupada says, if this reciprocal relationship was not there, where is the personalist philosophy? And then Prabhupada says, Lord is like a desire tree, and whatever one wants, he supplies. So Lord's partiality to his devotees is his special mercy, because the devotee wants love of Krishna, wants to love Krishna, the Lord is reciprocating that way. And this verse is also a very beautiful verse. Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavya samyag vyavasito hi saha. Even if one commits the most abominable action when he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly. That is what the Lord says, because he is situated properly. So now Prabhupada says for a conditioned living entities, there are two kinds of activities. One is the conditional activities, which we have to do to protect the body, follow the rules of the state, and so on. The other is the constitutional activities, which we have always been doing, our Sanatana Dharma, our spiritual nature. Jivera Swarupa Hoye, Nitya Krishnera Das. So our nature as devotional service. So sometimes what happens, these conditional activities and the constitutional activities, they go parallel to each other, but sometimes they get opposed to each other. And a devotee should be very cautious so as not to disrupt his wholesome constitutional condition. But sometimes what happens, a person in Krishna consciousness may commit some acts which may seem socially or politically abominable. But those abominable acts do not disqualify a devotee. So there could be temporary accidental fall downs, but if he is wholeheartedly engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, the person repents for his fall down and he continues to serve the Supreme Lord, then his Paramatma will purify him and excuse him. Prabhupada says this material contamination, it is very strong, that even a yogi who is fully engaged in the service of the Lord may sometimes become ensnared. But the Krishna consciousness which that yogi is practicing, that is stronger. So at once he is rectified from that fall down. So that is why Krishna calls him sadhu. He is saintly. And if we deride him, we are disobeying the Lord's order. And Prabhupada's analogy here is, the moon has stains on it, like a rabbit mark, but those stains are not impeding the moonlight in any way. And Prabhupada says, devotional service is war against Maya. There could be fall downs till we are strong enough. Immediately, Prabhupada warns us and says, don't take advantage of this verse. If one doesn't improve his character, he is not a high devotee. And then the Lord says, what will happen to that sudurachara? Kshipram bhavati dharmatma sasvachantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So how can a sudurachara person be a pure devotee? So Prabhupada says, a devotee engaged in the 9 limbs of devotional service has already put the Lord in his heart. So the cleansing process has started and all the contaminations will be naturally washed away. And the instruction which Prabhupada is giving us is, continue remembering Krishna by chanting non-stop, and all protection against accidental fall downs are assured. The Lord then says, those who take shelter of me, even if they are of lower birth, like women, Vaishyas, Shudras, they can attain supreme destination. What more is to be said of righteous Brahmanas, devotees, and saintly kings? Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. Now we come to the last verse of this chapter. I think we are over time. I'll finish it off quickly. So this verse is a beautiful verse. So that Supreme Lord, who is the absolute truth himself, who is Asamautva, no one equal to him, no one higher to him, has said this verse 2 times in Bhagavad Gita with very little modifications. He says, Man manabhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktvaivam atmanam mat parayana. And in 18th chapter, he says, Mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijanehi priyosi me. So, what are the 4 things the Lord wants? Man manabhava. Engage your mind, always thinking in me, thinking of me. Become my devotee. Madhyaji, worship me. Mam namaskuru, offer obeisances to me. That is all the Lord wants. Engage your mind in me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your obeisances to me. Be completely absorbed in me. Surely you will come to me. And in 18th chapter, the Lord says, you will come to me. This is my promise to you. Why? Because you are dear to me. This is what the Lord is saying to us. And Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness is the only means for deliverance from material world. This is what Prabhupada says. This is the only means. This is how. These are the 4 activities which the Lord has given for us. And this is how we can reach to him. And unscrupulous commentators refer to Krishna's mind and all. But Krishna is not an ordinary man. His body, his mind, he himself are all one and absolute. Then Prabhupada addresses Manmana Bhava. So thinking of Krishna, even demonic were thinking of Krishna, like Kamsa. But we should think of Krishna with love. And Prabhupada says, cultivate the knowledge of Krishna continuously. That's the instruction given by Prabhupada in this verse. So to conclude, the complete purpose of this material world will be fulfilled when we resume our spiritual identities and go back home, back to Godhead. And how is that possible? By engaging our mind, body, and words in the loving service of that Govindam Adipurusham, with firm conviction that Krishna is the Supreme. Then we will be transferred to Goloka. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Matajis and Prabhujis, for patiently hearing me. Please correct me with all the mistakes I've done. Thank you so much, Matajis. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. Excellent session, Mataji. Very, very beautifully you explained the entire chapter. I was relishing each and every verse you were explaining, Mataji, with so many examples. And the best part, what I like about your class is your enthusiasm. You yourself go deep into your own words and subject matter, that it reflects from your face, it reflects from your words, it reflects from your tone. The other side, whoever are the listeners, they are bound to listen, bound to follow. So your enthusiasm really rubs on us, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you for being on the call, and thank you for taking up all these different services. And very wonderfully you explained this chapter. All glories to you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam to you. Nobody, Mataji, just learning from all of you. Who am I, Mataji? And yeah, if there is any relishing in reading Srila Prabhupada's purpose, it's all mercy of Vaishnavas like you, Mataji. And nobody, I don't even know the language of English properly. So thank you, Mataji.
Mercy of our Gurudev, Mataji, that he has bestowed such an marvelous mercy on all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare
Preeti last Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Chinmayi Mataji. I was just throughout your class, I was just envisioning Srila Prabhupada listening to this and feeling proud. It was like, really, that's the only thing that was running in my mind. How Srila Prabhupada must be so proud seeing this class.
Thank you, Mataji. That's the best thing I've ever heard. Thank you.
It is such a thorough way of presenting the Bhagavad Gita. Every verse, every word of the purport seamlessly threaded together from one verse to the other, one verse to the other, with proper connection. You don't leave out a single point Prabhupada said in the book. That shows your dedication and your loyalty to Shastra and Sri Guru and Gauranga. I'm so blown away. Actually, I was just thinking how I wish I can be like this, having loyalty to Srila Prabhupada's words. So thank you so much. It was a beautiful presentation. Mm. I think there was one verse that I had never thought much about. Can you go back to that? I just want to, because when you were discussing it, it made me think. I never thought in that angle, but you were talking about, if I'm not wrong, you were talking about when there is there are two things that you have to take in a wholesome fashion. One is our parodharma, the other is our
That is apichet suduracharam. One second, I
right.
can do.
And sometimes, I mean, I never thought on that angle till this day. Only when you were telling, it made so much sense. Sometimes there can be a conflict between the two that may result in a fall down. I mean, I didn't think of fall down in that much seriousness. I mean, like in so much analysis. Can you do that again, that particular slide? I want to hear it.
How can I go back? Oh, Krishna, I'm
He's not able to pull that back, Mataji.
1 second. Oh, is this mine? No, this is not mine. Mataji, how shall I? Oh, Krishna, I'm sharing.
No, you have to stop screen share first.
Oh, is it?
She already stopped, Mataji. She's not able to open the document back. Yeah, it is already stopped. You have to open the document back.
Oh, okay. I'll
Did
try.
you close the document, the PPT?
1 second, Mataji. I'll try. I at least got this. Yeah, I'll try, Mataji. Just a second. I think I can do, Mataji. 1 second. I'm so sorry. Learn all these things. Now, can you see my share screen, Mataji?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go to that. Apichet Suduracharam. Pardon me, Mataji. There's some noise in my house. I hope it didn't bother you all.
No, you couldn't hear anything.
This one, right?
Conditional to protect the body and constitutional. Yeah. So they go in parallel, but sometimes they get opposed. So what I understood is sometimes the fall down can happen when the conditional and the constitutional may not go in parallel lines. I never thought about it that deep. I mean, it's so amazing to. It was a revelation for me.
Yes, I'll open the verse also.
Wow.
Yeah, remember I had once told you this is my favorite verse.
Yeah.
Yes, Mataji, here it says, the word Sudurachara used in this verse is very significant and we should understand it properly. When a living entity is conditioned, he has two kinds of activities. One is conditional and the other is constitutional. As for protecting the body or abiding the rules of society and state, certainly there are different activities, even for devotees in connection with the conditional life, and such activities are called conditional. Besides these, the living entity who is fully conscious of his spiritual nature is engaged in Krishna consciousness or the devotional service of the Lord, has activities which are transcendental. Now, in the conditioned state, sometimes devotional service and conditional service in relation to the body will parallel one another, but then again, sometimes these activities become opposed to one another. As far as possible, a devotee is very cautious so that he does not do anything that could disrupt his wholesome condition.
No, I was just pondering on the fact when you were talking about these two, that there is a possibility when it doesn't go parallel, that disruption can lead to a fall down. I don't know. That's how I kind of was reading through the lines. I don't know if I'm making sense. I don't know how to say this, but sometimes for the sake of, for the sake of protecting our conditional dharma, we may compromise on the
Dharma.
constitutional dharma, and that can actually lead to a fall down.
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
Ah,
That's why
okay.
Prabhupada says, socially and politically, it may seem abominable. Like
To protect our, the vice versa is also true.
vice versa here.
Yeah,
Yes.
the vice versa.
Here he says devotees should be cautious not to disrupt their wholesome condition. And in that, they may commit certain activities which may socially or politically also seem abominable. And what the other one is what you said, which is more common to people like me. Like I might give up my constitutional position and go in favor of conditioned position.
Right? It's interesting. I mean, I just thought that it's so beautifully analyzed. I never thought this deep. Yeah, but it was interesting. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. You brought out so many things in this class.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji. All your mercy, and without your this thing, I'm nowhere. Shall I stop sharing, Matajis? Or
Yeah, Mataji. If the explanation is done. Yeah. Okay, Mataji. Chinmayi Mataji, thank you so much for such a beautiful class. You went verse by verse, very detailed explanation, and PPT looks very great, Mataji. You said that you only made this time, right? Without your son's help. This PPT looks very, very great, Mataji. Nobody says that you do. I mean, now you should not say that I don't know technology, okay? No more. Nobody even believes
Very
also.
professional PPTs, Mataji. I
Very
thought Dhruva
professional.
made it. I didn't know that you made it.
Yeah, because Dhruva is getting busy. So now she had to do by herself. And she did it very nicely. Mataji, I'm really proud of you.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
With the technology, you have grown like anything. See, Bhakti Sangha is like that. Whatever, shortcomings we have in our life, right? We can overcome anything, either in material life, spiritual life, everything will go away and we can able to practice nicely Krishna consciousness. Even when I
You all are
started doing it.
tolerant, Matajis. You are all tolerant to give me the leverage and wait till I improve. So that's
No, Mataji, this PPT is really, really good, Mataji. The pictures and the slide, the way the slide looks also is very, very good. And you covered each and every verse very detailedly. I really like Patram Pushpam Phalantoyam. Even though everybody knows the verse, the way you narrated it, the explanation was very nice. And even the first verse, you told what is the qualification, what is the means, and what is that? What do you gain at the end, right? So that was really good, the way you put it up. Thank you, Mataji. Slides are really good. Awesome, Mataji. Haribol. I will ask you only to make my slides next time. Haribol, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. And nothing is mine, Mataji. I took from Gaurang Priya Prabhu's book. Like he's given like notes, so I could grasp something, and everything is from Prabhupada's purport. So nothing is mine.
What is the other book, Mataji?
That Gauranga Priya's book, Pritivilasni Mataji. During Bhakti Shastri reading, you had shared it, no? That's Gauranga Priya book only, right?
Gauranga Priya Prabhu.
Congratulations.
It's available online. Just Google.
Oh, okay. It's not Gaurang Darshan Prabhu, Gaurang Priya Prabhu, you are saying, right?
And of course, Bodhini also, Mataji.
Yeah, okay.
Bodhini is always there.
Yeah. I will ask Preeti Mataji. Thank you, Mataji, but very, very beautiful class and with nice PPT. Haribol.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, that Gauranga Priya Mataji, written by whom, Mataji? Written by? Written author, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, actually Gauranga Priya Prabhu, he's a Prabhu in male body. He has written some notes on entire Bhagavad Gita. So that notes are available in Google.
Gauranga
It's
Priya.
not a book. It's just the notes that he made from the end. It's a PDF. So the entire 18 chapters, he has made those notes, and those notes are really brilliant, and they are available very freely in a PDF form in Google.
That's it. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. And wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karpagali Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण बेटा, कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम। जय शिल प्रभुपाद, जय शिल गुरुदेव, जय जय नित्यानंदा, जय जय गौरांगा। हरि हरि, कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम to your sincere सेवा।
Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam to you, Mataji, for blessing me. Hare Krishna.
माता जी इंस्पायरिंग ऑल ऑफ अस, और आप उसमें डूब जाते हो। हमें तो वो लीला में लेके जाने से पहले आप खुद डूब जाते हो। हम में प्योरिटी होती है तो ही वो सामने वालों को इफेक्ट होती है।
No, Mataji, nothing. I just read that song. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for blessing me. Need a lot of blessings.
Hare Krishna, Chinmayi Mataji. Thank you very much for very enlightening class today.
Thank
Very
you.
beautiful. Thank
Thank
you. I'm
Need your
very grateful to you.
Need your
Hare
blessing.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We can, if nobody has any question, somebody has raised a hand. Yeah. This is
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Yeah, sorry. Mataji, I was just trying to express my appreciation and deep gratitude to Mataji. And Mataji, first of all, your diction, it is very clear. You know, it's like drawing with a very sharp pencil. So each outline, each line, each curve, each shade is well delineated, actually. So it was, you know, while listening, it was a bit more easier to think about what you're saying and sort of grasp it. I won't say I have grasped it, but to grasp it. So you're that clear. I really don't know, Mataji. I can only tell in Tamil. Tella Telivu, we say. Telivu itself means very clear. So Tella Telivu is just to emphasize how clear it is. So that was very nice. And of course, the amazing points, all the much learned devotees have expressed. So my thing is, I'll just go back this afternoon and check out again. And if your PPTs, your notes are shared here, that would be a real big bonus for me to take small notes from that. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Bhakti Sangha. Every day I keep thinking, thank my BV class and devotees back in Chennai and Bhakti Sangha. It's really great that I could get in here, and really he sent me in the right way. He showed me, you know, like the road signs. He just put out his hand and he showed me, this is here, go. So I'm reaping that benefit every day. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. It's really great being in all your august presence.
Thank you. Yes, Mataji. Bhakti Sangha is that way. Like once we join, it is addictive and we can't leave it. And it is
Exactly, it gets in your bloodstream. True, Mataji.
very true. Thank you. Hare Krishna Sukhakar Prabhu. Danvat Pranam to you, Prabhu. Please accept my humble.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Chinmayi Mataji, it was so nice. The way you pronounced the slokas was the best. It was so clear and you are very divine. Like Saraswati Mata you told. So fantastic, Mataji.
All your blessings, Prabhu.
I
Thank
think
you.
very neatly you summarize the whole 9th chapter. This is the most confidential knowledge you reveal so nicely for everybody. Thank you, Mataji. All the best.
Thank you, Prabhu. Need your blessings to progress, Prabhu. Really, you're such an elevated devotee and you come every day and bless us in the call. You might not know me, but I have seen you every day and I hear your, as Raj Prabhu says, you ask questions for our sake. So thank you so much for that, and really fortunate to be in your association, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
A wonderful class, heart touching today, really. Thank you, Mataji. So nice.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, will end.
Mataji, if by your permission, we can end the class now.
Mataji,
Thank you, Mataji.
Mataji, I will
Vancha.
just read the chat messages. Sorry, Komadiki Mataji,
Okay.
because everybody put with so much love and Mataji should know what they put. So, okay, Revati Mataji, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much, Mataji, for this beautiful class. Very detailedly explained and nice presentation. Beautiful class, dear Mataji, Sukhsagri Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Hari Bol. Very beautiful class, Mataji. Very nicely explained in a flow. Hari Bol. Harita Mataji. We have more. I like all the explanations. These classes are enlightening all. Enlightening. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Harita Mataji only. Yeah, and I shared the PDF copy that which Mataji is referring to. You can take the link, and even I will put in the description box in the YouTube link. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very, very much for the beautiful class and the PPT. Thank you for your great association, Shivani Mataji. Hari Bol.
Thank you, all the Mataji, Sriyati Mataji, Shivani Mataji, Harita Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank
Yeah,
you for
Komadiki Mataji, you can
Yeah.
end now.
Okay. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya
Kripa Eva Cha
Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.
Namo.
Jai,
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai,
Please, Vrajapriya Mataji ki jai.
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 Wonderful session, Mataji.
Thank you,
Thanks for the
Gauranga, Nityananda, Nityananda,
thank you,
Gauranga,
Mataji.
Gauranga.
Gauranga, Nityananda.
जय जय श्री राधे श्याम सबको मेरे
जय जय
वृंदावन
श्री
धाम
राधे श्याम राधे।
चिन्मय माता जी की जय हो
Jai Ho.
चिन्मयी माताजी की जय हो।
Thank you, Mataji.